The South China Sea is 5,000 kilometres away from Australia. It's one of the world's largest global trading routes, and there are large oil and gas reserves there that are contested and eyed by various countries around that maritime area. But the biggest problem for Australia, it's emerged as a flashpoint for two of our largest trading and security partners. Since the Trump administration has come in, the war of words over the South China Sea has certainly been raised, especially after the new US Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, said this during his confirmation hearings.
China's island building in the South China Sea is an illegal taking of disputed areas without regard for international norms.
The Trump administration has since dialed back the rhetoric and has said that dialogue is the proper means for resolving disputes. This is the series of dashes that seem to encircle the South China Sea that have been appearing on Chinese maps since 1947. And they say that it highlights China's historical maritime claims to this area. The main groups of islands that you'll be hearing about have been the Scarborough Shoal and the Spratly Islands. The Spratly is about 500 miles from China. The Scarborough Shoal is probably seen as closer to the Philippines and was forcibly seized in 2012 by the Chinese from the Philippines. So what's got everyone so upset? A whole group of countries, Vietnam, the Philippines, Taiwan and China, have been variously occupying and building on this group of islands for some time. What has really raised tensions is China's recent activity over the last few years to build airstrips, to build up islands and to allegedly militarise. Some analysts have argued that China's build-up in the South China Sea has been a direct response to the Obama administration in 2011 using the Australian Parliament in Canberra to announce America's pivot to Asia.
As a Pacific nation, the United States will play a larger and long-term role in shaping this region and its future.
A year after China seized control of the Scarborough Shoal, the Philippines lodged a dispute with The Hague to try and determine once and for all this Chinese claim of sovereignty based on the Nine-Dash Line. In 2016, The Hague finally delivered its verdict, dismissing any Chinese historical claim to the South China Sea and criticising the Chinese government for the environmental damage that had been inflicted on the islands by this land reclamation activity. The Chinese government dismissed the Hague ruling as illegal and said it would ignore it. And in the Philippines, a change in the Philippine government has seen a dramatic change of events. The new president has drawn closer to China and has said that he would like to see the dispute resolved in negotiations between the two countries. Australia has been under pressure from the United States to join it on its so-called freedom of navigation patrols within 12 nautical miles of the Chinese claimed territory in the South China Sea. To date, Australia has not done so. So what's Australia's position been? The Australian government has repeated that Australia doesn't take sides. It's asked all claimants in this dispute in the South China Sea to respect the international rules-based order. It believes in unimpeded trade and in freedom of navigation. Questions are now being asked about whether Australia, traditionally backed by the US in the Pacific from a defence point of view, needs to be pursuing a far more independent defence policy.